Hey, so tonight I thought it might be fun to look at some drum sequencing or general sequencing options that I like to use, some of which are new to the Deluge firmware, some of which aren't, and some of them might be applicable to the drum machine or sequencer you use if it's not the Deluge. But I thought it'd be fun to just go through them all. We're all set. We got the party lights going. We got the stereotypical plant on the desk because I want to be extra cool. And I've generated a kit of random samples via the XLN XO app, and it sounds like this. If you've heard any of the music I've made, first of all, thank you. Second, you may have heard some of these samples before because I have used this kit on some songs already. To start, Euclidean sequencing is something that was added to the Deluge pretty recently. It has been around for a while in musical terms, but what it is, and please look it up for yourself because I'm about to butcher the definition. Basically, it uses math to disperse hits as evenly as possible, depending on the length of the bar and how many hits you'd like within it. So, for example, I'll hold the audition pad for this kick, press and turn the vertical encoder twice to generate two of them, and you see it has put them evenly spaced within the bar. Let's do it with 3 snares, and you can see it's tried its best. It's got it in thirds. It doesn't sound that great together. So we're going to hit the audition pad, press and hold the horizontal encoder this time, and nudge the whole snare row over. We can work with that. Let's add a different snare sample a couple times, nudge that over, and then pepper in a bunch of closed hats. Maybe just nudge it over once. Now some open hats. And you can remove or amend samples as you want. Like I don't need that one there, so there you go. Now, here's a cymbal. In this case, it doesn't make a lot of sense to just add one and then nudge it all the way over when I could just put it in. But in the spirit of what I'm trying to demonstrate, we're sticking with Euclidean sequencing and nudging for now. Here's a character sample. We'll put one of those kind of in the middle. And here's a bit of a melodic hit. I'm going to add 5 of these, and we're going to play with it. Cool. So this is the beginning, the foundation of our patterns, just generated quickly via Euclidean sequencing. I'm going to copy this so we have a starting point saved for later. We can go back to it and see how far we've come. So the next feature I want to just talk about is something I do often, and it's not new. It's pitching drums. So in this case of this melodic sample, there's a couple ways you can do it. Most drum machines or sequencers will do automation recording, which is, in this case, I can use the pitch encoder here and record it. There you go. Now, there's a different way to do it as well that I like, which is using the LFO. So I've undone that, and let's select transpose for this row and map that to LFO1. So drop -20 there. So now the transpose of this kit item is being affected by LFO1, which is currently set a bit zany. So let's use the LFO sync. It starts pretty high. Let's sync the LFO to fourths. Let's try fourths. Maybe seconds. There, seconds. Okay, so it's a little bit slower sweep, and it gives it a bit of a melodic sense of movement because the pitch is moving. It's creating a melody. Let's do it again with this guy. Transpose to LFO1. -20 is kind of a fun middle ground. And then we'll change this one. We won't use the LFO sync, but we will slow it down. And you can hear what that sounds like. So it changes every time. It's pretty drastic, but it's not super zany. But in any case, it just adds a nice sense of background movement or kind of a bit of organic flow to an otherwise mechanical way of generating beats. So next thing that's really fun, I mean, you can do that pitching trick with the whole kit if you want, or sometimes what I like to do is just use Effect Entire, make a copy of this, pitch the whole thing up as a bit of a character layer underneath. It sounds pretty fun. But for now, let's move on to some other fun tricks. The next one being individual row lengths for each kit item. So what I can do is I can hold the audition pad, just roll back this horizontal encoder one, and now this row is shorter than the rest, so the playhead moves at a different rate. Let's do the same. We'll push the hats out. So now they're technically off as well on their own journey, and this means that the pattern won't really sync up very often, and it'll sound a bit different each time. Kind of a nice generative way to keep things interesting. It can get a bit too wacky. You might not always like the result, but in some cases it can be pretty interesting. So now the next thing would be changing the play direction. So for example, right now I've got effect entire selected. So when I hit this shortcut, you can see everything's moving forward now. I can ping pong everything. So now every playhead is going forward and backward. Now that might get a bit too zany, so let's put it back to forward, turn off effect entire, and let's choose one. So let's take this guy. Same shortcut, it's set to none right now. Let's go ping pong. So now only this lane is ping ponging. So that just adds another layer of movement and kind of generative possibility. And now from here, it'd be fun just to add some delays. It just gives a sense of width and bounce to everything. I like to add reverb to some of my more cymbal elements or snares. And let's see where we started and where we are now. So already we've got, a sense of variety. Now we could and we will add a synth. Let's pick something that I made recently using wavetable features on the Deluge. I don't remember what I sampled to do this, but it's a pretty fun little sound. So turn off scale mode, and we'll just record one bar of a chord. Just D minor. Oh, there you go. I hit the time night. So D minor, and we'll copy this guy as well. So we've got two versions. One is the original, one we can mess with. So in this case, this is a synth playing 3 notes at the same time to make up a chord, but we can still affect each note lane. So let's roll back 2 and 1 there. Now, each of the 3 notes that made up our chord are going to play at different rates. So it will just make a nice generative rhythm. Now, we can turn off, there's an ARP on this patch, so if we turn off the ARP, and then maybe even eliminate some of the kit items that you don't need to repeat on both versions. Now a switch. Bit simple. And a bit more wacky. Add a bass, why not? We're here, let's add a bass. This is something I made with the Deluge synth engine. Very capable bass. Let's turn off scale mode and just record something quick using that same D minor set of notes. Kind of got lucky there, my fingers slipped, but whatever. It's a bit too high, obviously, for bass. So let's press and hold this encoder here to drop it down. There you go. Okay, we'll make a copy of this as well because we want to be able to switch just like we did before. So now we've got this bass version. We can do the same thing and nudge the bass notes. Interesting, sometimes a bit weird, but fun enough. And now let's actually add an ARP to this guy. There you go. So now when we switch to this is kind of the wacky party pattern. Let's switch to the more low-key, simple one. There you go, you already got something going. 2 sections, very simple, 1 chord, D minor. Now, something else we can do is let's drop the tempo on this. Ooh, there you go. Now we're in it. Okay. It's kind of fun actually now. Got a bit of underground Mario level vibe to it. But here we go. We've added Euclidean sequencing, pitched some drums, changed the length per row on several things. We've messed with play direction, and we've got 2 sections. So, I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's kind of fun. You could add a bridge in there, take a note that's a chord that's not D minor, and make some variety. But I think as a starting point, to show some fun things you can do with drum sequencing or sequencing in general, these are some of my favorite things that I like to do recently. So hopefully you've gotten something out of this. If you watched this far, thank you. If you've listened to any of my music, thank you. There's more to come. And if you have any videos you'd like to see me make, I'm probably just going to goof around and make stuff I like to make. And if you like it too, that's a bonus. But if you have suggestions of things you'd like to see me tackle, that could be fun too. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be making some more music.